Hey guys, tonight we're heading deep into the crumbling heart of medieval London, where rats run politics and your shift starts exactly when everything that shouldn't move starts moving. You're the new night watchman, assigned to a place the day shift guards politely call a bit cursed. They said it with a wink. You hope it was a wink. It's the year 1373, and you're trudging through the slush of Cheapside with your torch held high and your boots already soaked. The rain stopped hours ago, but London never really dries. Every street glistens like a forgotten eel. Ahead of you looms the Black Tower. Not part of the Tower of London, mind you, but a smaller, forgotten sibling tucked into the folds of the city wall like a rotting tooth. It's only 4 stories tall, and yet it leans like it's trying to whisper secrets to the Thames. You stand at the door, your breath curling in the air, your lantern flickers windless. You're greeted not by another soul, but by the shriek of a metal latch and the moan of hinges that definitely haven't seen oil since the plague hit. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I pour my tea by candlelight for this. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is, especially if it's after midnight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The door groans shut behind you. That's not dramatic embellishment. It groans and then clicks, and then doesn't open again. The entry chamber smells like time itself got trapped and forgot to bathe. Old parchment, wet limestone, and something sweet like decayed apples. You squint upward. A spiral staircase hugs the tower wall, disappearing into the dark. Somewhere up there a bell tolls, except the rope's clearly still tied up. You begin your patrol. The first floor is a muddle of crates, barrels, and furniture too ugly for noble homes. You pass a broken tapestry that depicts something vaguely biblical, possibly a lion playing backgammon with St. Peter. The art of the 1300s wasn't known for subtlety. According to records, yes, even black towers have paperwork. This place once stored royal scrolls, confiscated books, and things, said too dangerous to burn. King Edward III allegedly visited once and declared it far too drafty for judgment. That's about all the historians agree on. But the weirdest part, this tower has never been decommissioned. Someone's always assigned to watch it. Someone always ends up being you. Your uniform is just a patched tunic with a red crest stitched on the sleeve, a crest no one recognizes anymore. The lantern oil smells of old whale fat, and the keys on your belt feel heavier than they should. Each one is a different shape, none labeled. One is clearly from a church door, one is possibly Roman, one looks like it belongs to a music box. You check the logs from the day watch, 3 sentences. All quiet. Windy up top. Don't follow the light if it moves. Oh, you set the logbook down and notice something strange. The ink on the last line is still glistening, as if the day watch left it minutes ago, and yet the tower was locked when you arrived. You ignore the goosebumps on your arms and make your way up to the 2nd floor. The walls get tighter here. You feel the stones sweating. Or maybe that's just you. You pass a narrow arrow slit barely wider than your hand, meant for defense. Outside, the city is asleep. Inside, your torch flickers violently, as if resisting something. Here's your historical fact. By 1373, London had already survived 2 waves of the Black Death. Nearly half the population was gone. Ghosts weren't fashionable. They were just statistics. But here's the fringe tidbit. Some believe the Black Tower was built after the plague, not before, using stone from plague pits. A cost-saving measure, they said. You know, recycling. Historians still argue whether the tower's foundations sit directly over mass graves, or if that's just local legend. Either way, the walls seem to breathe when you're not looking. You reach the 3rd floor, the door creaks open. This room is empty except for a wooden desk and a tall, thin mirror leaned against the wall. It reflects the room accurately, mostly. There's a figure in it, you, and then there's a second figure behind you. But when you turn, just the wall, just the cold, weeping wall, you try to write this down in the log just to have something concrete. As you touch quill to parchment, a tiny breeze lifts the page. No windows are open. You look at the page again. There's your handwriting, but not your words. It says, "Don't forget to check the stairwell at midnight. The ink is drying." And midnight was 15 minutes ago. You close the book. You are alone. Probably. But the tower is not empty, definitely. You press your back against the doorframe, listening for anything. Voices, footsteps, a cough, even a creak. You get silence, and then just once you hear a bell, but not a tower bell, a handbell from upstairs. The sound of the handbell fades, swallowed by the stone. You're not sure it happened, you think you heard it. You want to believe it was just your nerves tuning into old sounds. But that tone, it was sharp, delicate, like a teacher calling a child. Or something else calling you. You exhale slowly and start climbing. The stairwell to the top level narrows like it's had enough of visitors. You have to lean your body sideways to fit, and even then your shoulder brushes cold, wet stone. Your lantern's flame stretches upward unnaturally, as if trying to climb before you. At the top is the watchroom, small and circular. The ceiling is just low enough that standing straight feels like an act of defiance. It's cluttered with rusted weapons, an old straw mattress, and one heavy wooden chair facing a barred window. The air here. Air's wrong. You breathe in and gag. It smells like rot, not fresh rot, not meat or mold or something normal. This is a scent buried beneath time, the kind of scent that clings to your memories rather than your clothes. Something sweet, still, like rotting flowers, and beneath that, copper and dust, maybe old blood. You push open a wooden cabinet, hoping for answers, or at least a distraction. Inside is a stack of brittle parchment and a small tin bowl. The paper's covered in drawings, sketches of the same room from different angles, each with slightly different furniture. And each has a figure seated in the chair. In one, it's an old man. In another, it's a child with hollow eyes. In another, it's you. The bowl contains dried petals, bones no longer than a toothpick, and something that might have once been a human nail. Probably not the manicure kind. Here's your historical fact. Watchmen in medieval cities often doubled as informal priests, guards, and scribes. Their job wasn't just to observe, but to document anything out of the ordinary. That's why many old towers kept a book of watch updated every hour. Your tower's version, her grim little book by the bed, bound in leather so cracked it flakes when touched. You flip it open. The first entry is dated 1242. The ink is brown with age, the handwriting neat. Something knocked from the inside of the wall tonight. You turn a few more pages, the entries grow panicked, and then abruptly stop. You flip forward, blank pages. Then suddenly, new entries begin again in a completely different hand. Dated 13/11, same pattern. Calm, confused, scared. Stop, and again, in 1373. That's the year now, and your name is written on the last page, in your handwriting. You did not write it, but it says he's watching from the third stair, and the ink is fresh. You step back. One foot touches something soft. You look down. A rat, dead, mouth open, eyes intact, perfectly placed as if positioned. You nudge it. It doesn't move. But something under it does. A square tile, slightly out of place. You lift it. Beneath the tile is a hole, just large enough for your hand. The air coming out is colder than the room around it. You stick your hand in. You shouldn't, but you do. It touches cloth. You pull out a ragged pouch tied with black string. Inside, a cracked silver bell small enough to fit between your fingers. You give it the lightest shake. It makes no sound, but something in the walls answers. A soft knock, and another, and then silence. You replace the pouch. You back away slowly. You sit in the chair, not because you want to, because your legs decide it's the best option. The wood creaks beneath you like it's exhaling. The city outside is still dark. The moon is high. Clouds ripple across the sky like slow ink in water. London is quiet. And then a whisper, not in your ear, inside your mind. Don't stay in. The chair, you leap up. The whisper laughs, not with malice, but with amusement. Like it knows what happens next. You descend the stairs fast and too loud. You slip near the third stair but catch yourself. The third stair, that's the one from the entry. You kneel, press your ear to it. Nothing. Then, after a long breath, you knock. Once, twice, 3 times. Silence, and then the faintest sound from deep below. A knockback. Just one. Historians still argue whether the Black Tower had a crypt beneath it or not. Records from 1298 suggest it housed certain items of royal secrecy, but no map has ever revealed a lower chamber. Not even during the great London surveys of the 17th century. Fringe accounts, mostly dismissed by academia, speak of the watch below, a second shift beneath the earth, kept not by men, but by something older, something bound by bells and silence. You stand. The tower groans. The mirror upstairs flashes in your mind. The drawings, the entries, the handbell. You turn the keyring at your waist, hearing each one jingle like a wind chime at a funeral. One of these opens something, one of them probably shouldn't, and it's getting very hard to tell which is which. You descend back to the second floor, lantern held out like a shield, because it's definitely not functioning like a light. The flame dances sideways, sputters, flares for no reason. You swear it flinched when you pass that broken tapestry again. The lion looks different now, as if St. Peter lost the game. You're not imagining things, but you really wish you were. The second floor is quieter now. Too quiet. No rats, no creaks. Even your own boots seem reluctant to make sound. The walls. Press closer, as if the very architecture disapproves of your decision to keep going. You're back at the logbook. The pages flutter in a breeze that shouldn't exist, and there's a new entry. Same brownish ink. Same neat hand. Check the northeast wall, behind the crates. You turn slowly. The northeast corner. It's stacked, with warped wooden crates marked with faded symbols, some religious, some alchemical. One shows a man being flayed by what looks like a smiling angel. That's probably not in the Bible. Or if it is, it's in a very weird appendix. You pull the crates aside. Dust fills your throat like sand. Behind them, faint outlines etched into the stone, a square, a circle, and a single keyhole at the center. You try a few keys from your ring. They resist. The fourth one slides in, clicks. The wall groans. A hidden door swings inward on invisible hinges. Inside, a narrow hallway descending at a shallow angle. The stone is different, older, rougher, Roman perhaps. The air that escapes is dry and warm, like parchment baking in sunlight. Here's your historical fact. Much of London was built atop Londinium, the Roman settlement. Many medieval buildings reused Roman stone. Some even built directly over bathhouses, temples, or catacombs. The hallway feels Roman, but the symbols on the walls, not Latin. You recognize only one, an Ouroboros, the snake devouring its own tail, a symbol of cycles, eternity, or maybe just the tower's sense of humor. You descend slowly. Each step feels like a test, a memory. You pass more carvings, a face with no eyes, a bell with no clapper, a sun with too many rays, and then you reach the bottom, a circular room, perfectly symmetrical. The air tastes metallic. You see three objects, a stone altar, a rusted mirror like the one upstairs, and a book, open and glowing faintly with a dull blue light. This is fine, totally normal. You approach the altar. The surface is smooth except for an inscription. To see forward, look behind. To guard the door, you must be the door. Vague, creepy, standard tower stuff. The mirror reflects the room perfectly. But when you look into it, you're not there. Something else is, a robed figure, hooded, sitting cross-legged. It raises its hand slowly and waves. You wave back because what else do you do? It mimics you exactly, but there's a half-second delay. Like it's remembering you rather than reflecting you. The book beside the mirror hums. Not literally, but you feel it in your teeth. A soft vibration. You lean in. The page is blank, and then words begin to appear. Not written, carved, like ice melting backward into form. He watched, he warned, he walked the same path. You flip the page. Another message. Each watcher leaves a piece, take one, leave one, and a diagram, a circle, a hand, and the bell. You pull out the cracked silver bell again, still soundless, still weightless. But now it feels warm. You look back at the book. New line. Leave it on the stone. You place the bell on the altar. The room vibrates. A low thrum, like distant thunder, or a massive door sliding open in the earth. A section of the wall retracts. Behind it, stairs, stone again, leading down further. Because of course they do. Historians still argue whether the Black Tower was meant to house prisoners, relics, or secrets. A 15th century monk named Lydgate claimed it was built to imprison the echoes of Babel. No one took him seriously. He also said carrots were demons. You step into the newly revealed staircase. The air here smells sterile, almost modern. The walls are smoother, the steps are wider, and halfway down, light, not firelight, not moonlight. Electric blue pulses like veins beneath the stone. You reach the chamber at the end. This one is vast, bigger than the tower should allow. It stretches under the city like a cathedral designed by someone who hated sleep. In the center, a raised platform. Upon it sits something. It looks like a chair, but it's made of metal and bone, and it hums with that same blue light. It pulses in time with your heartbeat, which is rude, honestly, and in the chair, a figure, still, hooded, familiar. You approach. Its hands rest on its knees. In its lap a bell identical to yours. You reach forward slowly, carefully. The figure's head lifts, not fast, not threatening, just acknowledging. Its face is your face, but older, tired, and its mouth opens and speaks your name. But not your name now. Your name from a time you haven't lived yet. The bell rings, out loud, for the first time, and the sound splits the room. The sound of the bell is unlike anything you've heard before. It's not loud, it doesn't blast through the air or rattle your bones. No, this sound moves through you, like a ripple in still water, like a memory you forgot you had. Your lantern snuffs out instantly, and still you can see. Everything glows in that same eerie blue, like the room is lit from within the stone. The figure with your face is still seated, still watching, but its eyes are closed now. And you finally understand this isn't someone else, this is you, or maybe was you or will be. Time in this place is not behaving as time should. The room hums gently now as if it's alive, or waiting. You look down. The bell in the figure's lap is gone. You don't remember taking it, but it's now in your hand. Cracked silver. Warm. You feel something coil inside it, like a breath waiting to exhale. You turn to leave, but the stairwell has vanished. Of course it has. Instead, the walls shift. No grinding, no collapsing stones. Just one moment there's a wall, and the next. There's a hallway where it wasn't. This hallway is narrower. The light dims to a soft teal. You follow because that's your only choice. You pass alcoves with objects inside. A child's shoe carved in obsidian. A crown made entirely of teeth. A scroll that's somehow still smoking at the edges. Each artifact seems to whisper as you pass. Not words. More like memories. Some of them feel like yours. Here's your historical fact. In 1373, Julian of Norwich claimed to have received visions of divine truth during a near-death experience. She wrote the earliest known English text by a woman, and it included references to a bell that spoke of time and mercy. Historians argue whether this was metaphor or madness. Fringe believers think it wasn't a metaphor at all. Some link her visions to artifacts that disappeared from London's monasteries in the late 1300s, including, you guessed it, silver bells with no clapper. You reach the end of the corridor, a single wooden door. It's warm to the touch, and when you press your ear to it, you hear laughter, children, footsteps, bells ringing, but joyful, like a festival. You open the door, and you're back. Sort of. You're in the same tower room, second floor, crates and all, except it's not nighttime. Sunlight pours in from the arrow. Slit, birdsong echoes from outside. Your tunic is clean. The air doesn't smell like rot. You rush to the window. It's London, but not the one you know. Horse-drawn carts, dirt roads, no cathedral dome in the skyline, no gunpowder towers. The bell at St. Paul's hasn't even been cast yet. You are in the same place but the wrong time, and worst of all, you are expected. There's a knock at the door. A guard steps in, face familiar in a way you can't place. He salutes, then frowns. You're late. First watch doesn't keep itself. He hands you a scroll, sealed with black wax. The keys, the bell, the book. Keep them hidden, until the next you arrives. You want to scream, you want to wake up, but your mouth moves on its own and you say, "Understood." The guard nods and disappears. You look down at your hands. Older, calloused. The keys are heavier. Sanat, your tunic bears a different crest, a serpent devouring a bell. The mirror in the corner reflects you, but not the you who entered the tower last night. The book of watch lies on the desk. You open to the first page. The entry is already written. He has returned. The cycle continues. You flip to the last page. Blank. The ink appears slowly, as if thinking. When the blue light dims, he must ring the bell again. And then, just once, the bell at the top of the tower tolls. But this time it's not hollow. It rings like it means something, like it remembers. Historians still argue whether ancient timekeeping in towers was symbolic or functional. Some say bells were used to regulate prayer, others say they were to ward off spirits. A few quietly suggest that some bells, very rare ones, did both. You sit in the chair, the same one from the drawings, and this time you stay seated, because you remember what happens when you don't. The logbook waits. The pen is already wet with ink. You write the first line. Welcome to your first night. Don't trust the mirror. A soft breeze lifts the page. From below in the crypt you now remember building, you hear the faintest sound, a knock, and then another, and then silence. The bell doesn't ring again. Not tonight. You sit in that quiet chair, your hand resting on the old wooden desk, your breath rising slow and even. The black tower, that strange crooked place, no longer feels menacing, just tired. A building that's seen too much, remembered too much. You close the book softly. The ink dries in silence. Outside the sun sets, or perhaps it rises. You've lost track. Time here folds like linen. Far below, beneath stone and soil and story, the last echoes of the knock vanish into the dark. You breathe, you listen. Nothing stirs, and for the first time, that's a comfort. The candle beside you burns steadily now. No flicker, no games. Its light casts shadows that behave themselves. They fall where they should. They stay still. You lean back. You let your eyes close. The bell at your side stays silent, warm like a sleeping pet. You did your watch. You left. Your mark. You are part of the tower now, not its prisoner, not its victim, but its memory. And maybe, just maybe, its keeper. Tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow, someone else will climb those stairs. Find your note. Feel the same cold air. Hear that faint ancient knock. But not tonight. Tonight is quiet. Tonight is yours. Rest well, Watchman. You've earned it.